November 22nd, 1963. At exactly 12:30 p.m., as President John F. Kennedy's motorcade traveled through Dealey Plaza in Dallas, gunfire erupted. Within moments, the president had been mortally wounded. The suspect was quickly identified as 24-year-old Lee Harvey Oswald, a former U.S. Marine who worked inside the Texas School Book Depository overlooking the motorcade route. Less than a year later, the Warren Commission concluded that Oswald fired all the shots and acted entirely alone. For the U.S. government, the case was solved. But for millions of people around the world, it wasn't. More than 60 years later, the assassination continues to generate documentaries, books, investigations, and endless debate. Not because the official investigation found no answers, but because many people remain unconvinced by some of its conclusions. Today, we'll examine 5 of the biggest reasons why the JFK assassination remains one of history's most debated cases. The Warren Commission concluded that a single bullet caused multiple wounds to both President Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally. According to the official reconstruction, the bullet entered Kennedy's upper back, passed through his neck, continued forward, entered Governor Connally's back, shattered one of his ribs, exited through his chest, fractured his wrist, and finally came to rest in his thigh. Because of the number of wounds attributed to a single projectile, critics nicknamed it the magic bullet. At first glance, the trajectory can seem difficult to believe. Many diagrams shown over the years depict Kennedy and Connally sitting directly in front of one another, making the bullet appear to change direction. However, supporters of the official explanation argue that those diagrams are misleading. Connally was actually seated slightly lower and slightly to Kennedy's left in the limousine. When their true positions are reconstructed, the bullet's path appears considerably straighter than many people assume. The debate also centers around Commission Exhibit 399, the bullet believed to have caused these injuries. Critics argue that the bullet appeared too intact, considering the damage it supposedly caused. Supporters respond that full metal jacket military ammunition can remain largely undeformed after passing through soft tissue. Whether convincing or not, the magic bullet remains one of the most discussed pieces of evidence in the entire investigation. According to the official investigation, Oswald fired 3 shots using a Mannlicher Carcano bolt-action rifle. Investigators estimated that all 3 shots were fired in just a matter of seconds. For critics, this raises an obvious question. Could one person accurately fire the rifle that quickly? The weapon required manually cycling the bolt after every shot, forcing the shooter to briefly break their aim before firing again. Over the years, numerous television programs, historians, and firearms experts have attempted to recreate the shooting. Some participants struggled to match the required speed and accuracy. Others successfully fired 3 aimed shots within the estimated time frame. The debate, therefore, isn't simply whether it was physically possible. It's whether Oswald possessed the skill, composure, and opportunity to accomplish it under the conditions that day. Even decades later, people continue to disagree. Almost immediately after the shooting, confusion spread throughout Dealey Plaza. Witnesses pointed in different directions. Some believed the shots came from behind the president. Others insisted they heard at least one shot from a small hill beside the road that became known as the Grassy Knoll. Several witnesses even reported smelling gunpowder or seeing a brief puff of smoke. Supporters of the official investigation argue that echoes within Dealey Plaza could easily have distorted the apparent direction of the gunfire. Critics counter that the number of witnesses pointing toward the Grassy Knoll is too significant to dismiss. No conclusive physical evidence ever established a second gunman at that location. Yet the eyewitness testimony remains one of the strongest reasons many people continue to question the official account. Just 2 days after President Kennedy's assassination, millions of Americans watched another shocking event unfold live on television. As Lee Harvey Oswald was being transferred through the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters, nightclub owner Jack Ruby stepped from the crowd and shot him at point-blank range. Oswald died shortly afterward. Ruby insisted that he acted alone and claimed he wanted to spare Jacqueline Kennedy the pain of a lengthy trial. But his actions immediately fueled new suspicions. How had an ordinary nightclub owner managed to enter one of the most heavily guarded police buildings in America? Did he truly act spontaneously, or was someone else involved? Official investigations found no credible evidence that Ruby was part of a larger conspiracy. Nevertheless, because Oswald died before standing trial, many questions that could have been explored in court were never answered. The assassination generated one of the largest government investigations in American history. Millions of pages of documents were produced over the following decades. Many eventually became public. Others remained classified for years. The continued secrecy led many people to wonder whether important information was being withheld. Government agencies explained that some files remained restricted to protect intelligence methods, foreign relations, or the privacy of individuals. Critics argued that, after so many decades, continued secrecy only encouraged public suspicion. In recent years, additional records have been released, giving historians a clearer picture of the investigation. Even so, debate continues over whether the remaining records contain anything significant or simply routine intelligence material. So, did Lee Harvey Oswald assassinate President Kennedy entirely on his own? Official investigations have consistently concluded that he did. Yet the combination of disputed evidence, conflicting eyewitness accounts, the killing of Oswald before trial, and decades of classified records has ensured that many people remain unconvinced. More than 60 years later, the JFK assassination continues to occupy a unique place in history, not because every question lacks an answer, but because so many people still disagree about what the evidence means. Perhaps that is why the case refuses to disappear. Even today, every newly released document, every documentary, and every new investigation brings the same question back to life. What do you think?